Steven Spielberg called him the best actor in the world. He was Oscar nominated and celebrated for his roles in movies like In the Name of the Father, Brassed Off and The Usual Suspects. But Warrington's own Pete Postlethwaite, who died of cancer last week, never forgot his roots in the region. And so he agreed to take part when a Liverpool film director asked him to appear in a low-budget local movie after a chance encounter in a Manchester pub.
On screen, he was mesmerising.
Crap.
On television, he sparkled.
Speak of the devil.
And on stage, well, very few actors could touch him.
The barbarous Scythian! For he that makes his generation messes to gorge his appetite.
That he was supremely talented, there's no doubt. But that's the story of Pete Postlethwaite, the actor. What about Pete Postlethwaite, the man? What was he like, and how will we remember him? The film you're about to see features exclusive interview and film footage which has never been broadcast on television before. This is Sean Crotty. Back in 2007, he was a struggling director desperate to break into TV drama. He developed a short film script, but despite hawking it round everyone he could think of, no one would give him the money to make it. Then one day, he just happened to pop into this Manchester pub for a drink.
I walked in, sat down, having a pint with a friend, and I looked up, and there in front of me is Pete Postlethwaite.
So Sean called me up and he said, "You'll never guess this, Pete Postlethwaite is sat in the pub." And he said, "Should I go over?" And I was like, "Yeah, let you do it."
I said, "I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I've got this short film script. I wonder, is there any chance you could take a look at it?" And he looked at me and he said, "No, you should be doing this."
He called me back after he'd spoken with him and said, he's agreed to look at the script.
3 weeks later, the phone goes, and I pick up the phone, and this voice says, "Hi Sean, it's Pete Postlethwaite here." And my legs just instantly turned to jelly. I had no idea he was going to be in here at the time, and as I said, the amazing thing was that when we finished writing the film script, he was the only person we could imagine playing the part, and I never ever dreamed I would actually get him in the film.
Race to the top.
It started off as the best of days. Beautiful, beautiful blue sky.
I was really knocked over and surprised and delighted by just reading it. The story itself was just fabulous and really well put together. Very simple, but in a way very layered and very complex. So I rang Sean up and said, "I think it's great, I think it's really good," and I've been kind of attached to it ever since then. One of the things that attracted me to this particular script was it's very filmy, and the fact that it was very consciously, he was thinking about film, he was thinking in film terms. It wasn't some story that he thought was an interesting story there for his film. It was actually, the whole thing was a film.
The train, Dougie! Come on!
The film itself is basically about an elderly man who's haunted by an image from his childhood, and he basically relives this tragic event that happened to him on a steam railway in the 1950s. And the film cuts backwards and forwards between him as a little boy and him in the attic with a model railway, and he kind of reenacts in some sense what happened to him. I can remember middle of winter, deserted hotel, and I remember he was again having a pint of Guinness, watching the snooker, and he put his arms around me, gave me a big hug, and he said, "Sean," he said, "I can't believe we're here." He said, "It's amazing that you've got the funding."
Here we are in the middle of somewhere in Norfolk, I don't quite know where. He set off at the crack of dawn this morning. That's about 5:30 from the hotel in Cromer. And here we are shooting the film.
Okay, stand by please, one more rehearsal, and action.
I can remember the first day on set, and I was really, really nervous. I was thinking, my God, I've got this Oscar-nominated actor, and it's potentially going to look like we're a bunch of Muppets here. And he took it all in his stride. He just sat on the sofa in the living room of this people's house. He got out a crossword, and he was just completely calm and composed. And in many ways, that spread throughout the crew, and it just completely settled me down.
Artistic brain working phenomenally well to create a masterpiece of electrocuting.
Were you worried about going on there?
No, not at all.
Sure?
No. I've checked it out. It's fallen on me once. It won't do it again.
There's one particular sequence where it's a very, very poignant moment, and he's just very delicately placed this train on the track, and he sets it off, and it's leading up to a big climax, and he just throws in this little gesture with his hand. He just waves goodbye to the train, and it was so subtle that we actually missed it on the first take. We had to get him to do it again so that we could just pan the camera down and just get this little gesture. He would just come up with these things which would just basically take the script and the story to another level.
Rushes round, comes to here, flicks this off.
They're amazing things, these short films. In a way, it's the only way that they can get done is by people doing favours. First-time directors are not given the chance to direct until they've got something to show that they've directed. So how do they show that when they can't direct in the first place? It's a real catch-22 situation.
The British actor Pete Postlethwaite has died in hospital in Shropshire.
He'd been receiving treatment for cancer. His career spanned theatre, television.
I can remember when I was on the phone to him, I was really excited about the fact that we'd got into this festival, and he told me he had cancer. And he said, I start the chemotherapy the week of your premiere. He said, I'd love to be there, and I just don't think I can. And he never got to see it, basically. I just literally didn't know how to react. I was that devastated.
I think it's a great loss for all of us, really. Within cinema and theatre, that we've lost one of the greats.
Working with him was such an incredible experience, and in many ways it's his ordinariness coupled with the fact that he was uniquely talented in such a huge way, which I think is what I will remember about him.
Talent and fame and stardom is a draft that can go to the head, but that didn't happen to Pete. Despite being constantly in demand on stage and on screen, he always had time for the people he met. As his fame and success grew, he remained unchanged. And though he was feted and acclaimed all over the world, he never became a lovey or a darling. He wasn't one of them. He was one of us.